on FM, AM, digital and online.
This is Helen Lee
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Here's a question. Can art and craft help you to move on after death in the family? That was the starting point for 3 bereaved people in Berkhamsted. They've created personal artwork which reflect their feelings of loss and grief and also depicts their loved ones. The project is supported by the Hospice of St Francis and art therapist Annalie Ashwell and was started by PhD student Stacey Pitzilides.
So the concept is really about trying to understand how art and making can inform new understandings of who people are after they've died. So the people that we've lost, how do we understand what that new relationship is and how do we explore who we are and who they are after death? When we lose someone, they're not suddenly gone. We still have all their things in the home, we still have all their documents. Now, even more in the digital age, we can have files of thousands of images, we can have loads of emails, and so they remain present in our lives. This project is really about trying to understand what that presence is.
Everyone is different and everyone's grieving process differs, but the idea of being able to use art to process and have these encounters with the person that has died is something very creative as well. So to be able to create in a time where you're feeling and experiencing loss is also in itself something very interesting and magnificent to produce and have this kind of prolific time of making. And some people find that very helpful and can be very therapeutic. Others, it might be gardening, it might be something else.
Anne Marshall's husband, Tim, was a clergyman for over 30 years. He was minister at St Lawrence's Church in Bovington for 18 years. Anne has put charcoal on top of a textured surface with the dark black gradually becoming lighter to reveal her husband's face.
Well, it's interesting because I didn't notice until I put the pieces together that actually that's what it did, but it's actually working through my grief, I suppose, which has been very dark at times. And as you say, it just shows the process really where the grief is always there, but you accommodate it and you build your life around it and things do become lighter.
He was a musician, so you've got some charcoal over bits of music.
His favourite composer was Ralph Vaughan Williams, and Lark Ascending was one of his favourite pieces of music, and I associate it with him. And because he was a musician, music is obviously part of my memory of him, and the words are a part of an ancient poem which start off with take him earth for cherishing, body of a man I bring you, noble even in its ruin, which was read at his graveside by a guy called Prudentius, and they just find the words and the music really powerful, so they're part of my memory of him, which is why they're in there, really.
You can make him out, the features are very clear, but they could be even clearer. Was that deliberate to sort of keep him a bit subdued?
Well, not subdued, but it is part of the distancing that you get when somebody has died. So he's there and he's present and very present, but it's like a curtain between us. So yeah, that's why he's not clear. But it was deliberate that there's one of him in his uniform, if you like, his clerical robes, and the other of him in his everyday persona. He wasn't two separate people, but it was very separate, his persona as a priest.
How therapeutic would you say this might have been for you, Anne?
I think that it was, because I'm really quite a wordy person. I think and write a lot. And the actual physical process of doing these pieces, which I did with my hands, literally, moved me in a way which nothing else has. I felt it changed how I felt about things, so very valuable. And working with Elwyn, who was the art therapist I worked with, he was a great encourager. Yeah, it was very important, actually.
How long has this taken, then?
From inception to the original exhibition, about 18 months, 2 years, so quite a long process. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this. I did actually say to Stacey, I don't think I'm the right person for this. But I suppose because I didn't really see the whole picture, I thought I'd just have a go. But when I realised it was a much more serious proposition, it was very intimidating. And it's hard to be objective about your own work, I think. But I find all this rather embarrassing, actually, because I don't think of myself as an artist at all, so it's quite tricky talking about it and trying to explain the process.
A contrasting exhibit is one made out of clay, and it consists of 3 circular towers with railways painted on them, and the towers are connected by bridges or viaducts. And this is the work of ceramic artist Frida Earle, whose late husband Victor was a great train enthusiast, wasn't he?
Yes, right from the very beginning. When he started off with the thing at the top there, he helped his father, who managed a coal yard on the West Coast Main Line, and when he was about 5, he used to go down and help his father move the railway trucks. And the children used to play cricket on the field where Northwick Park Hospital is now, leaving one boy on the railway bridge, and of course they were all steam trains, so there were always puffs of smoke, and the cry would go up, train coming, and they all threw down their bats and belted up the steps to look at it. And then the second pillar is his middle life, when he went to Merchant Taylors by train. Then he went on to do his national service across Germany by train, and then he went to Oxford by train, and then after that it's commuting, which he did all through his life. I did not fly in an aeroplane until I was 60, because we went everywhere by boat and train.
This is a wonderful construction. And every day that you were working on this, firstly obviously moulding the clay into the shapes and then having it fired and putting on the ceramic colours, you must have been very mindful of your husband. He was with you, was he?
Yes. What was nice is I was doing what he had enjoyed doing all through his life and turning it into something concrete, because the original idea was that it was a study on digital heritage. If Uncle Henry makes a stool, if it's good, it goes in the living room and people sit on it. If it's no good, it goes in the cowshed and the chicken feeds on top of it. But it's still his stool. Whereas now, of course, people's heritage is their photographs and what they've written online. The technology changes and poof, the whole lot's gone. And so we were trying to see, first of all, whether you could transfer those memories into a concrete form of art, and secondly, what effect it would have on the people doing it.
So what effect has this had on you doing it?
I really enjoyed doing it. It was a way of recapping his life without actually looking at the photographs and saying, oh dear, that makes me sad remembering it. And one of the things you get when you've got somebody who's gone is the idea that they ought to be here. If your daughter's wedding, he ought to be here. But if you go and do something completely new, something completely different, that isn't quite there as a background. So from that point of view, it's absolutely brilliant.
Some people might say by making something that's, so obviously in his memory, it might actually make the grief worse.
No, it's no good turning your back on things. If you're feeling something, you have to face it. You have to face it and cope with it and realise everybody's different, but from my point of view, doing something is the answer. Preferably doing something I haven't done before and something I'm never going to get the chance to do again.
And you can see that exhibition, Exploring Grief and Loss, at the Open Door Gallery in Berkhamsted High Street until December the 8th. Annalie Ashwell, art therapist at the Hospice of St Francis, runs courses for patients and their families and the wider community.
Some are educational, so learning a new skill can be really empowering, and you can take that home and have this new thing that you can kind of practice and become a master at. Whereas other groups that we have are more therapeutic focused, about experiencing and expressing your sense of self and trying to have art as a way of processing that. For patients, for carers, for loved ones, we also have an open studio that runs once a month that's open to everyone, so members of the public can come to that, and we have a visiting artist every month. Because a large part of my work is also trying to engage the community, and the arts are visual, and it's a really powerful way of connecting the community together. Things like the Art Bag Project, which we've got a little space in this exhibition as well. That's about bringing people into the community, into the hospice, making people more aware of the hospice movement and feel that they can access it and they can be supported. Throughout the time that the exhibition is open, until the 8th of December, we're also running these events too, upstairs in the upstairs workshop. So next week on the 30th of November, we're running an education session that is primarily for healthcare professionals, artists, but it's open to anyone. And that is for people to learn a little bit more about the academia behind the exhibition. In the afternoon, we've got a life drawing class that's open to anyone in the public. And then on the 6th of December, we've got a taster day for the whole Spring Centre. So we're actually moving everyone in the supportive care team. They're coming here in the morning, and if you want more information on what the Spring Centre is about, how it might be able to support you or a loved one who has a life-limiting illness, that is a day for you to have more information and find out about the different things that we provide.
That's art therapist Annalie Ashwell.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
So, a new drop-in centre has been opened by the Churches Together group in Berkhamsted. Situated in a former shop on the High Street, it's called the Community Hub. It offers free coffee and cake on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, and they run art courses for children and adults and put on exhibitions, and the list of groups using the new hub is growing. Kerry or Cherry, I can't work it out, it's spelt with a C, Lindo and Joan Fisher explain.
What we want to do is not just get to the church groups. We want it for a community hub for the whole community. Doesn't make any difference whether you go to church or not. No. Isolation and loneliness are for everybody. There are a lot of lonely people who don't go to church and a lot of lonely people who do go to church. Yeah. And it's for everyone.
People who come through the door come and sit and talk and have a cup of tea with us. We don't charge for that. Just sitting and talking with people is the main objective as far as I'm concerned, but we have to pay our rent. So we need to let these rooms out, and the classes that we've had so far have been quite successful.
It's gone?
There's a very successful class of ladies who do slow movements, and it's growing. After Christmas, we're starting yoga, and there's a possibility of a writing class. All kinds of things are happening. Every day, things change. Every day things move on and people walk through the door, and we get so much blessing out of the people who come in this place.
A lot of blessing as well in terms of converting this sort of old shop into the community hub. You had to decorate it, you had to furnish it. You got a new kitchen.
Yes. The shop over the road, Ice Interiors, was closing his premises and he's working online now. And I said, is there any chance of any cupboards? And he brought a van full of cupboards. So I have a new kitchen. And one of our committee members' husbands said, I'm a kitchen fitter. I'll fit it for free. Everything's for free.
And then the cleaner.
Person, my cleaner. She came in and talked quite a long time with us and then said, I clean at Waitrose. And she's also a lollipop lady. And she said, I'll come and do your cleaning for free. And then last week, a person came in who is definitely not a Christian. He said he has no belief. But he's lonely, he's just retired, and he's a handyman. So he's fixed the floor for us here, which means that we can have more people in our Tai Chi classes, we can have more people in our yoga classes, and it's safe. All the time, things keep happening.
And you believe the hand of God is in this?
Of course. We had one man who had something wrong with his ears. He was elderly, he had a stick, he needed help to stand up. And we'd been chatting away, and I normally have a jigsaw puzzle out downstairs. And he said, you need a folder for that. I said, yes, but we don't have any money. So he said, and off he went. He walked to Smith's, he bought the folder, he walked back, he gave me the receipt and said, I couldn't carry it, but it's waiting for you. Yeah. And then he went to Waitrose and did his shopping and got a taxi home. 3 times a week, we have students doing volunteer work in the town, and they come from Berkhamsted School. Now they're coming to help us. So that is just amazing. They are wonderful children, wonderful. We're enjoying them and they're enjoying us.
So tea, coffee, helping us on the Festival of Lights stall, painting, anything you want. The fabulous people, the young.
It sounds like you're just wondering what's going to happen next, and absolutely. It's all very exciting, Yes. You started with a blank piece of paper, and gradually things are happening.
Yes, absolutely. And every day something new happens. Every day somebody new comes here, which we enjoy. We enjoy their company as much as they enjoy coming to talk and share their lives with us and give. They always do.
I'll tell you about our gardener. She comes on the bus from Hemel Hempstead to do our garden for us. It is the most amazing garden. It's very overgrown, but it's magical. Everybody loves it. Yes. They go out there and go, what a lovely garden. Because it goes all the way down to Sacred Heart's car park. It's huge. She just comes on a Wednesday morning and does a couple of hours in the garden. It's just phenomenal. phenomenal.
The community is a wonderful, wonderful thing, everybody working together.
That's Kerry Lindo and Joan Fisher, two lovely ladies talking to Mike Naylor about the new community hub on Berkhamsted High Street.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Helen Lee
on BBC Three Counties Radio.